Greetings once again, church family and friends. Thank you for joining me here in today's broadcast of The Singing Soul. May I also invite you to join me in reading the first part of the Song of Moses in Deuteronomy 32, verses 1 through 3. Verses state, "Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass, because I will publish the name of the Lord. Ascribe ye greatness unto our God." This word, ascribe, is mentioned only 3 times in the Bible. All 3 pertain only to our great God and to no one else. Ascribe ye greatness unto our God. Today's hymn, "How Great Thou Art," exemplifies just that. Alfred Smith tells a story concerning this song that has captured the hearts of Christians more than any other song in our generation. Mr. Smith expresses his gratitude to Mr. Stuart Hine, who was used of God to literally give this song to the world and for the thrilling story leading to its writing and development. It was a poem written by Karl Boberg, a 26-year-old Swedish preacher in the summer of 1885 under the title O Stor Gud, which is translated, O Great God. It was a warm summer day. Karl and some of his friends had gone to a meeting some 2 miles from home. On the way back, they were caught in a thunderstorm. As the storm broke, the lightning flashed, the thunder rolled, and the winds swept across the fields. And then, as quickly as it came, it was all over. The sun again came out, and with it appeared a rainbow. Then, as the rainbow disappeared and the sun began to sink in the west in the thrill of the evening, from a distance could be heard the song of the thrush and the church tower sounding the tolling of the bell, memorializing a funeral that had been held that afternoon. The very atmosphere, the beauty of the surroundings, and the sound of the bell all combined to draw from the heart and mind of the young preacher a poem, the subject of which, after many translations in many lands and after many years, would become known as How Great Thou Art. Each translation helped enrich the poem as each country added its own particular flavor, but it was an English missionary by the name of Stuart K. Hine who worked in the western Ukraine and later in Subcarpathian Russia, who gave us the inspiring original English words as we know them today. As one looks back, one can't help but see the hand of God sending Hine to that particular area in which he worked. For he later said, "God put me amid unforgettable experiences in the Carpathian Mountains. These experiences, plus the grandeur and beauty of his surroundings, did much to flood Hine with the feeling of awe and wonder at so great a God." This would eventually lead him to describe all of this in his own ways and words. In giving his account of events leading to the writing, Hine recalls the first Carpathian mountain village to which he climbed. He stood in the street, sang a gospel hymn, and read aloud John chapter 3. But a storm was gathering, and soon he had taken shelter in the home of a friendly schoolmaster who had been listening. Awe-inspiring was the mighty thunder, echoing through the mountains, was the way he described the experience, which would be the seed thought for his first stanza. Traveling on, Hine crossed the mountains frontier into Romania. There, in the Bukovina, the land of the beech tree, he found believers, young and old alike. Together, through the woods and forest glades they wandered and heard the birds sing sweetly in the trees. To the accompaniment of mandolins and guitars, they too burst into song, singing the Russian version of How Great Thou Art. This, inspired by the awesome wonder of the surroundings, the works thy hand have made, the beautiful melody, and the earlier mountain experience with its mighty thunder, there burst forth into life from the heart and mind of missionary Hine the first 2 stanzas. As Hine continued his work of preaching and distributing gospels in village after village and had traveled some 125 miles, he had an experience which would give life to verse 3. He met a man and his wife, who had owned a Bible for almost 20 years. It had been left by a fleeing Russian soldier, but they could not read it. The very year that Hein met them, the wife had taken the Bible and had made up her mind she would learn to read it. Persevering day by day, she began to learn to read it, and in turn began to read it to the villagers, who in wonder listened as she slowly and haltingly read the most wonderful story of the crucifixion. Tears began to flow as men and women fell to their knees, crying to God. It was at that precise time that Stuart K. Hein came upon the scene and witnessed the amazing happening. People seeing the revelation of God's love at Calvary for the first time. It was then he conceived stanza 3. And when I think that God, his Son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in. That on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. It was some 10 years later, 1948, that he conceived the 4th stanza. God used the years in between to impress upon Hein's heart the importance of the words home and heaven as he worked among the many World War II refugees in Britain. The first question they would ask was, when are we going home? At such a time, what better message could he give to them but of the one who had gone to prepare a better home and who had promised to come someday to take his children home with him forever to a place called heaven. And so from his heart and these experiences, there came the 4th stanza. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Karl Boberg's poem had traveled long and far, but at last it had reached a place in its transformation where it would inspire and bless the English-speaking church more than any other song had since the days of the Wesleys, all because of a dedicated missionary servant of God named Stuart K. Hein. I personally cannot sing just one verse of this hymn. The entire testimony must be sung, all of it. It is a testimony of a heart overflowing with praise that God himself had put there to begin with. He put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. Psalm 40, verse 3. Throughout history, we, the redeemed of the Lord, have been known for our singing. Even in the midst of storms with rolling thunder, God gives us a song. Even right now, in the middle of this coronavirus, God is giving us a song. Some of the most beautiful songs ever penned were written from aching hearts and troubled souls. Then as one bursts forth into singing, it seems almost magical that the aching heart is led to forest glades just to hear birds sweetly sing. Several years ago, I started to claim God's I love you messages to me by way of red cardinals. Ever since that time, the Lord has sent red cardinals in the most unusual places and unexpected times. But it's always when I needed to hear the Lord say to me, I love you. Just the other day, a red cardinal flew in front of me as I was driving to work, while everyone else is safe inside their homes. Even then, I too can exclaim, how great thou art. More so today than it was after 9/11. People are searching for answers, not from each other, nor from the government, but from God, whom they have either dismissed or forgotten. Many are grabbing onto anything that resembles God or the Bible. Whatever Bibles that were in stores quickly disappeared right after this pandemic broke out. I believe an open door and effectual is opened unto us. Let's walk in it with harvest of souls in mind. Let's tell them again and again. And when I think that God, his Son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in that on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. And for us who have accepted Christ as our Savior, may we live ascribing righteousness to our Maker and ascribing strength to our God in such a way that the unsaved around us would pause and wonder, how do they remain calm and unruffled? Where are they getting their reserve of supplies, provision, and, yes, even peace? And how should you and I answer? Here it is. This is truly exciting. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart? Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Let us ascribe greatness unto our God. In the comment box, you should see a link that I would like to invite you to follow. It should take you to the Crown College Choir. I had the great privilege of singing in this choir while I was enrolled in the master's program there. Singing this hymn of great adoration was one of the highlights of my education there. Patuxent Baptist Church Choir, I urge you to listen closely to this choir arrangement. It will be our first song in our new building. Lord willing, I'm so excited just thinking about it. God bless.